Welcome to Urania Universe. I'm Urania, and in this video, I will provide a brief overview of the astronomy and ritual of December solstice. This is video 8 of 8, in which I discuss the 8 significant points that the sun makes within its annual journey from our perspective here on Earth. These 8 significant points are also known as the 8 Sabbats that comprise the wheel of the year in the pagan tradition. In the act of observance, we are deepening our connection with the natural rhythm or the cycles of Earth, and even more so, the relationship between sun and Earth. What is December solstice? I want to begin to define this by taking in consideration the astronomy of December solstice. And so at this moment in time, of the year, this is the moment in which the sun shines directly over the Tropic of Capricorn. Now, the Tropic of Capricorn is an actual astronomical marking or point. This is the point, which happens to be roughly 23.4 degrees south of the equator. This is the point in which the sun reaches its most southern maximum point. And what that means is that this is as far south as the sun goes, in which it shines directly over the surface of Earth, right? So we have this zone of the tropics. So the most southern point is the Tropic of Capricorn, and the most northern point is the Tropic of Cancer, which is 23.4 approximately degrees north, right? And so this is the band, this is essentially the boundary in which the sun reaches its highest ascension, its northern extreme or its southern extreme, which is the Tropic of Capricorn. With the solstices, this is the moment in which the sun stands still, right? If we break down the term solstice, we have sun sistere, or what's the other? Sistere or solstitium. And what this means is basically sun stands still. And if we consider tropic, the root of tropic is Greek for is tropikos. That's tropic is derived from the Greek word tropikos, which means to turn around. So literally in our astronomical associations, label, classification, these are the points in which the sun stops and therefore turns around. Either it begins to ascend northward or southward. So if you are in the northern hemisphere, this moment is a moment in which we experience the shortest day and the longest night. If you are in the southern hemisphere, this is when you experience the longest day and the shortest the longest day and the shortest night. Let's take into consideration Earth as a whole being, one entity, us all collectively here, and what is going on at this moment in time, right? In relation to the sun. So, as I just mentioned, the sun reaches its most southern extreme, right? So if we're looking at Earth just as one whole planet, in which it is, the Earth is at the most southern point that it reaches before it turns around and begins to ascend northward. And so this really helped me taking into consideration of, okay, how does this work for everybody? Especially when it comes to astrology, we all tend to look at the Capricorn part of the year with the same intentions, with the same archetype, with the same energetic expression. And this is what really brings it all together in all full circles, that no matter where we are on Earth, Earth as a whole being, as a celestial body, is experiencing the sun being at its most southern point. And so that most southern point can be observed or referred to as being underworld, or at its lowest point at the depths of its journey. It's reached that bottom, and there's a moment of reflection and at the same time, enlightenment, and the cycle begins again. Some practitioners, some people observe the December solstice as the new year, and it's the process of becoming, it's the process, it's the initiation of ascension. And when we get to that eastern point, that is more so in the northern hemisphere coming into the light. And so it's really just connecting. There's a deeper connection that is experienced when we step and zoom out, step away and zoom out. We experience how, in fact, as a whole celestial being, the sun is at the southern point and it's ascending northward. And then when it gets to that northern extreme, then it begins to descend southward. What you are seeing on your screen at this moment is the Stellarium software. It is free to the public for Mac and Windows PC. It's an amazing astronomy software in which you can really get an observation or a view on what is going on in the sky at any given point in time from any location on Earth. The location that we are going to be observing from in this video is Syracuse, New York, in the United States, because that's where I currently reside. So what you're seeing here is the night sky, and the time for where I have the screen paused is 10:27 p.m. on December 21st of 2023. Not sure if you can see this little date and time window box, but that's what I'm referring to. And this is the moment in which the sun's solar point is shining directly over the Tropic of Capricorn. And being that this moment in time is at night where I am, it is happening below the horizon. So I'm going to go ahead and remove the horizon right now, or remove the ground, so we can get a better viewpoint. So what you're seeing here, this green line is the celestial equator, and the red line is the ecliptic path, so the apparent path of the sun from our view on Earth. And you will also see here, actually, let's see if I can go down a bit. Yeah, there we go. So you can also see the 4 cardinal points. So we have Cancer, Libra, Capricorn, and Aries. And so in this video, or in this portion of the video, I'm going to show you essentially the path of the sun from solstice to solstice. I will also show the variation of the sun's height and the changing of the sun's rising times over the course of this period, essentially from solstice to solstice. So as you can see here, if you look down below, we have the sun and shining right next to this Capricorn glyph, right? So that's indicating that it is at the Tropic of Capricorn. And so if we just take the time back, a month at a time, going backwards, you see that Capricorn is right here, that Capricorn point, and the sun is moving backwards because we're going back in time towards that Libra point, which, let me adjust the screen a bit. Oops. I should have said, bear with me because I am new at this. Just getting used to it. Okay, here. So you see the day is, or the month is September, and we have 21st. So this is around the Libra equinox, and you see the sun is shining here over that point of Libra. The sun's solar point is shining directly over Libra. So now I want to show you the variations of the sun's height from the surface. So first, let me just go back to December solstice 2023. Oops. Okay. There we go. December 21st, 10:27 p.m. All right. Now let's go ahead and put the surface on the ground here. We'll put the cardinal directions. And again, you will not see the sun at this point because it is below the horizon at this time. So we're going to adjust that as well. And let's put the cardinal direction. So see if I can, sorry if I'm making you kind of dizzy here. well, I guess we only really need to see east and west. So again, this green line here is the celestial equator. The red line is the ecliptic path. And I'm going to move the time up to the morning to when the sun rises. So this is the day after the solstice, right? December solstice. And so at 8, let's just make it an even 8:30. So at 8:30, we see the sun here just above the horizon. And you see from east to west here, we have this celestial equator line, the equatorial line. And so this is the true east and true west. And as we can see, the sun is at the most is the most southern. It's going to get below that eastern horizon. And so let's go forward in time towards the Cancer solstice. So we're going to go by months. You'll see that the sun is going to move closer to the eastern point, and it is going to begin to rise later in the day. So we have on January, or I'm sorry, the sun is rising earlier, right? So it's still 8:30, but we see that the sun is a little bit more above the horizon. So this is in January 22nd. February 22nd, you see by 8:30, it's getting higher and it's moving towards that eastern point. So let's go to March 22nd. Now, it is right on the Aries point. So we know this is right around the Aries equinox. And you can see that it is closer to this eastern point, right? The eastern direction, the true east. And I'm just going to take it a little bit throughout the day. So you see that it's going to set due west as well. Look at that. So let's see what time it actually rises. So here it's just about to come off the horizon at 6:30 a.m., right? And so when we were looking at the sun rising on December solstice, it was at 8:30 a.m. It was barely off the horizon, right? So you can start to see that the sun is moving more north, right? Or higher from our perspective here at this location as we get closer to the equinox point, and the sun rising times are earlier in the day, right? Okay, so we're just going to keep going to this is now April. You can see that the sun is moving towards that northern extreme. And so on this is June 22nd. I don't know if you can see it here. Let's take it a couple. Oh, maybe you can't. Yeah, because the sun, maybe if we remove the atmosphere, let's see if we can see it better. Yeah. So here we go. It's the morning time. It's 6:30 a.m. You can see that here is Cancer, the point of Cancer. This will be the June solstice, the Tropic of Cancer, and you can see the sun is pretty much right there, right? This is going to be in the northern hemisphere. Syracuse, New York is going to be summer solstice. And so you can see it's at the northern extreme, right? And so I'm going to put the atmosphere back on, and let's move it forward in time. Now we are back at another equinox point. This is the Libra equinox. And you can see that we're back at due east and now moving towards that solstice point again. We're now at that southeast with a later rising time, right, for the sun. And so it's moving south. It's moving to its southern extreme. All right. So I just want to take it back just to give you an idea of the, uh, actually, let's see what I'm doing here. Let's do 8. So we'll give you the setting times, right? Let's check out the setting times. All right. So the sun is about to set. Let's leave it here. So this is going to be 17, what is this, like 5:30 p.m. So the sun is already below the horizon on December 22nd. So this is the day after December solstice or Capricorn solstice. And so now we're going to go ahead in time. We'll start to see the sun is going to move to, again, to its northern extreme, but it's going to move towards that western point, and it's going to have later setting times, right? So let's see. So this is January, a little bit later, as we can see that energy of the birthing of the sun, or I guess essentially longer days. So this is February, this is March. So you can't really see here. Maybe let's take the equator, or I'm sorry, the hemisphere off again. You can see it's close to that Aries point. Okay. And that is since we're near the Aries equinox. And so later times, it's setting. So again, this is what, 5:30, and it's getting higher in the sky, and it's getting closer to that Cancer point. So you see it's at its highest in the sky from this location, and it is at its extreme, like its northern extreme, and it is, um, closer to that west point. All right. And so it is setting, going back down, earlier sunsets. Here we are in October, and back at the solstice, December solstice, Capricorn solstice of 2024. So I hope this is really helpful in giving you a visual of how the sun's motion is during this time of year and moving throughout the solstices and the equinoxes. Observing December solstice in your local environment, if you are like myself in the Northern Hemisphere, this is the essence, the vibration of winter, which if you look outside your window, there's no leaves on the trees. All of the garden plants are bare bone to their stem. Everything looks dead, except of course, if you're a conifer, then you're a pine, you're a cedar, you still have your leaves. But nonetheless, everything looks dead. Even the grass, if it's not covered in snow, it's very cold looking. And what I really enjoy considering is that underneath the ground, the roots are alive, and there's so much happening, and there's probably so much warmth within the ground, right? And then you have the animals that are burrowed within the ground and hibernating. And this really brings truth to the association of it being the mother's night, right? Coming home to the mother, coming back to the womb where it all started. And as we know, the temperatures are very cold, it's very dark, windy at times, snowy. It just seems like almost like a harsh place to be when you're out for a moment. And I really take this time of year to be grateful that I have a home to live in. I have a home that's full of warmth, full of love. There's food, there is hot water, and I'm very grateful. So this is a time to really, really, truly connect to the gratitude of what you have, and also share with others, share whatever you can. And this is a time where we really are invited to take care of one another. And that, brings in that essence of Christmas time, even, or just the act of giving and taking care of one another and showing each other that we really love one another within these very hard, potentially hard, darker, more quiet and colder times of the year. And so one of the first traditions I want to point to, because when we think about the winter solstice, this term within itself is the most popular term, or just it's synonymous basically with winter solstice at this time, and it's Yule. So, and this is really popular, I would say, in the pagan tradition, right? And so Yule essentially is the standard word for the pagan celebrations and traditions that correspond to winter solstice. This word, Yule, has Old Norse and Old English and Old Anglan roots. I had to check my notes there. Yes, Old Norse, Old English, and Old Anglan roots. And essentially, since the mid 1800s, it is really another term that's used for Christmas. And within these Northern traditions, again, this time of year is really focused on the light. One of the most well known symbols of Yule is the Yule log. So I, of course, wanted to look a bit more into that. And essentially, the Yule log is the symbol for light, right? It is the symbol of the waxing solar year. And so the tradition of cleaning the home to prepare for the burning of the log, to gathering the perfect log, which I believe traditionally was of an oak tree. And if you think of the magic of oak or the spiritual symbolism of oak, it is that connection to the it is connection to wisdom, to longevity, to prosperity. And so it seems I really see why it's very auspicious to find an oak log, like your perfect ideal oak log. And that was definitely a part of the ritual. And then they would adorn the log with greenery decorations. They would carve, you know, auspicious sacred symbols into the log. And then they would also pretty much infuse, or I don't know if infuse is the right word, but basically they would also adorn the log or bathe the log in either ale, mead, or whiskey, right? And so I think, just again from my own spiritual divine connection, the way that comes forth for me is that by lighting the log that is bathed in these spirits, this is igniting the spirit of nature within your home, or just igniting the vibrancy of spirit of the element of fire. And the greenery is that connection to earth, and the symbolisms or the markings that were carved into the log is the connection between the two, right? And just bridging all of that together to ignite that energy within your home to welcome in the waxing of the solar year. Onto the ritual of December solstice. And again, this time tends to happen on December 21st or December 22nd. And so that is when it is traditionally observed in celebration or ritual practice. And looking to the astrology is a really good tool to give you an understanding or some assistance in how you may desire to observe and celebrate in your own sacred spiritual practice, right? And so this moment in time again shifts between December 21st and December 22nd. And that moment of December solstice, or let's refer to it as Capricorn solstice, happens when the sun shines directly over the Tropic of Capricorn, which is 0 degrees Capricorn along the celestial equator. So, don't you just love seeing the synchronicities there? This is really bringing forth the essence and the archetype, the vibration and expression of Capricorn. And so, what comes to mind when I think of Capricorn is the experience of discipline, of discernment, of perseverance, of even like the stoic element of Capricorn, the steadfast nature, the endurance. And when we think about in the Northern Hemisphere, this time of year brings forth that need or essential desire to just be able to endure. Like, I just want to really make it through. I need the discernment, of my thoughts, of just what's necessary for me right now, right? This is the time where a lot of us are trimming the edges of what do we really need, right? As we're getting ready to move into the calendar new year, what is it that we truly need? And what is it that we want to work on? How can we improve for the new cycle, right? What can we adjust? Can we release and let go of to make way for what's coming forth in this new cycle? And so this is all this energy of Capricorn. Capricorn also has this element of judgment. So this brings forth the mythology or the experience of Ra's journey into the underworld and rising rising above to be reborn again. Also, the soul is traveling, this is from the ancient Egyptian perspective of the sun's journey through the underworld and facing that moment of judgment. That moment of judgment kind of gives this Saturnian energy. Like, have you learned your lesson? Have you been virtuous? Have you been of service? Have you been productive this year? Like, why are you worthy of continuing on and being resurrected? And this is completely the energy of Capricorn. So while this does sound like a moment of judgment, it's not the harsh judgment, right? And that is, I feel, the reality that we can connect with and realize that this is life, right? Everything's a cycle. There is the death, the life, and the life, the death, and the rebirth. And what I really connect with when it comes to December solstice, or this time of year, right? Even leading up to the solstice and then thereafter until we get to the spring. And even that's not fully spring, right? That's just the initiation. And the peak of spring will be more that Beltane time here in the Northern Hemisphere. What's really coming forth, or what I really like to take into account, is that we again are being invited to go deeper and deeper within ourselves, being more quiet and listening to the hidden aspects of ourselves, right? And so there's an emphasis on the darkness, the emphasis on what's hidden. Can you see in the dark, right? Can you see, how much light do you need? Do you need the light to feel comfortable, or can you adapt and learn to work with what's going on in your natural environment and embrace the dark? So when it comes to a ritual, simply, I would say it could be as simple as meditation, creating a daily meditative practice to bring attention to your unconscious, to your hidden self, building that relationship to your darker parts of yourself, which dark doesn't necessarily mean bad. It could just be what you don't pay attention to, what you put down there to deal with at some point in time. This is the time to deal, because we don't want to bring that energy and that heaviness into the next cycle, into the new year. And so it can look as simple as meditation, or you could even do some magic work and work with reflecting on the past. And that reflection is what will then illuminate the path ahead, right? So being able to reflect back and really connect and nurture and see what was missing, see what maybe have been hidden that you know that you kind of overlooked, or maybe again what you haven't really been paying attention to and you've been putting off to deal with it later. So now is the time to deal or let go, right? And so through mirror work, practice, or magic, we can utilize, I would say, obsidian mirrors are, and maybe even a sphere, are probably the best tools for mirror work in my regard. Or actual mirror, you could utilize that too, right? But the whole point here is really learning from yourself, going really deep within yourself, and being introspective in that way. And so that is my suggested ritual in working with December solstice. And once you really get comfortable, especially if you're doing daily meditations, and you are also, I would say, honoring the dark by making that direct connection with the hidden aspects of yourself, then honoring the light by it's through that process of meditation and really opening yourself to receiving divine insight, divine guidance. I feel both of those actions really bring you into the neutral space and open up the pathway for the new year. And so that is, again, my suggestion as a ritual for December solstice or Capricorn solstice, right? And so just to take into consideration some standard correspondences, we have the key energies of beginnings and endings, of gestation and hibernation, of silence and pause. The herbs that are, associated with this time of year, we have nutmeg, cinnamon, rosemary, anything that's warming, even, what's another one I'm thinking about? ooh, like ginger and things of that nature. Anything that's warming to the body, and even just like that aroma, I feel is really powerful at this time of year. Then of course we have the evergreens, the conifers that I mentioned before, cedars, pine, Norfolk pine. No, those are more tropical, but hey, that might work too, right? But the pine, the evergreens, the long lasting enduring trees that just make it through, and they're still lively and they're still green, that is a tree to connect with during this time. And it was interesting when researching and connecting with the gods and goddesses. The main god that stood out to me was definitely Saturn. Saturn is a very strong, powerful energy. I mean, that's Father, you can say it's like Father Christmas or Father Time. And just really, again, here's the cycle, here's the significance of time and morality. Morality is one, and mortality is what I was looking for. And then when it came to the goddess, there weren't really any ones that I truly connected with, to be honest, that I saw on, just in my searching. And what I really connected with was the mother energy, and also the crone. This is the phase of the crone too, as we are approaching the end of the cycle and connecting with the wise woman in the woods. So now I'm thinking about Baba Yaga, even though everything I've seen about her myth is like eating children and being really mean. But what came forth just now is that it's the wise woman, the witch in the wood, that has the herbal remedies, the potions, just like, let's be resourceful and work with what we have. And, if you find yourself outside in the middle of the woods on a really cold, cold night, and you see, that cabin with the old wise woman, you might go knock on the door and be like, oh my gosh, can I have some like warm tea or some soup? And so it really brings me into that energy. But I definitely also feel that mother energy coming into the womb, and also the connection of mother and child, right? So the beings of the earth, or just even that inner, coming into your inner child and connecting the inner child to the womb of what's really within, is what I connect with this time of year. And so I hope you really enjoy this. And I am just grateful for your support. And if you enjoy this video, please like it. Please share with someone that you think might enjoy it as well. And definitely check out the rest of the playlist, and let me know how you observe these particular times of the year in the comment section below. For now, take care.